Victoria Marie here, and I am back to share with you an exciting new class that I'm launching. Seems like I'm just launching classes all over the place, but this one I know you guys have been waiting for because you've asked me about it several times. And this is the Holiday Project 12 Stories, One Album. And I know that for a lot of you, you've been looking for a way to document your holiday memories, and maybe you haven't been inspired by what's currently out there, maybe other types of ways of documenting your that'd be ways, of documenting your Christmas stories or just things that happen around this time of the year, the holiday time of the year. And so I was right there with you. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I came up with this idea and then what to look for in the class. The registration link is available. You can pre-register for $20 until November 1st. So I'll get to more of that in just a second. So I have, for the past 2 years, done a December Daily album, and I love that project. And if you want to check out my December Daily albums, I post the links below here. There's also a playlist for my December Dailies. And I absolutely love that process. I love it so much. And I had a lot of fun putting those albums together. But I've noticed over the years, and not just the 2 years that I've been doing December Daily, that, and in previous years, whenever I'm documenting the holidays, it seems to be the same stories. Like I always feel compelled to scrapbook a lot about my child or about just kind of things that we do during that time. We go see the Christmas lights and we open presents and we have dinner, and it seems to be the same story over and over and over again. And honestly, I kind of got a tiny bit bored with that process, and I was looking for something that was more than just sort of telling the everyday or just, you know, kind of repeating those same things over year after year after year. So in the process of sort of thinking about how I wanted to do things differently, I started talking to other scrapbookers about what were some of the reasons why they didn't document the holidays, or have they become bored with documenting the holidays kind of the same conventional ways that they always have. And what were they kind of looking for to sort of be inspired to maybe start this process again or maybe change their process? So here are some things that you guys have shared with me. That first and foremost, that some of you don't particularly like some of the formats that are available. And I'm going to assume you mean by that maybe the daily formats, which are awesome, but that might not be your style. Also, you want a project where you can focus not only on current stories, but also past stories. You're looking for something that was prompt focused, and I can definitely understand that, and are looking for suggestions of different types of stories that you can tell in your holiday albums. Like a mix of both styles, so both traditional scrapbooking, pocket scrapbooking, that type of thing. So a lot of you had mentioned that your life is not exciting enough to talk about a story on a daily basis, and so they got some ideas to kind of get around that. Or that doing something on a frequent basis, or doing a project that would require you to do something on a frequent basis, may be a little bit too stressful, and that you want to be able to have some flexibility, particularly during the month of December when a lot of us, get very busy with our activities or different traditions and holidays and such that we celebrate during that time of year. Let's see. There's lots of holiday commitments. I just mentioned that. Then different options for folks without children, so that's very important. That comes up a lot. Tips to make the process a bit easier. That's understandable. Intimidated by the process, you want a focused approach, so that's very interesting. How to get things done during the busy season, figuring out a process and sticking to it, right? Because there's so many of us that start a holiday project, or any project really, and it's hard sticking to it, particularly during the most busiest time of year, which happens to be around, the October, November, December time frame. And also want some tips on planning in advance. So with that being said, I did a lot of brainstorming, and I thought, if I were to create a class, what are some things that I'd want to see out of that class? And first and foremost, I would want a project, or if I were to create a project, a holiday project. So I would want a project that would be easy for me to do, that I can have, or that I can showcase kind of a diverse number of stories. So not only am I talking about things that happened in the past, but maybe things that I like now. Maybe I want to make it thematic, and I'll talk about some of those ideas as well here in just a second. I also wanted something that at the end of the day, there's stories that I've been meaning to tell, but I just haven't. They just don't come out in the other ways that I have done my Christmas documenting. So, in the middle of the night at like 3 o'clock in the morning, I woke up, because that's when I get my best ideas. I woke up and I said, the Holiday Project, 12 stories, one album. Really simple. You can commit to 12 stories, right? And you could probably think of 12 stories right now that you would like to tell or document in your Christmas or your holiday album. That's what this class is all about. So here's some details. This is a 4-week class. It's going to begin on November 5th and it'll end the last week in November. You'll get a week's worth of content and it'll be posted to the classroom on Mondays. And so you'll have an entire week plus the weekend to work through the concepts and work through the class. This class is going to be really focused less on design, but more on robust storytelling, really digging out those stories out of our minds and putting them down on paper. So if there have been stories or events or experiences that you have been wanting to put down in your scrapbooks for so long, things that you've experienced during the holiday season, this is your time to do it. So maybe tell the story of Christmases during your childhood. Maybe talk about Christmas through the decades and you do an album that's themed on, a Christmas when I was first born, and then a Christmas when I was 10, and then a Christmas when I was 20, or, whatever. Maybe you do an album on family traditions and recipes. Who has that down on paper so that we can go back and refer to that when our loved ones pass on, those bearers of those recipes pass on? Who's leaving that behind? Maybe you want to talk about your travels, or perhaps hopes and dreams for things that you want to happen. Maybe it's just the simple stuff that you enjoy around this holiday season. There are so many different ways that you can approach this project. There are 3 main parts. So you'll have the class, which is going to be focused mainly conceptually. Then we're going to have the exclusive Facebook group where we're going to share how we're working through the process and support each other through this process because, again, it's only 12 stories to tell, right? And then here on the Victoria Marie YouTube channel, you'll find inspiration. So just like my December dailies, I will post my process here. So you'll see me putting together my album, telling my stories. I'll give you the background behind the story. And then of course you'll be able to see the full process of me actually putting the page or the spread together along with the story. So there's 4 lessons. The first one is called The Story, and we're going to spend some time focusing on that. What kind of stories do you want to tell? We'll work through some of the prompts. You'll have an opportunity to do a little bit of reflective writing so that you can start getting those stories out of your head. So when you officially start the project, and our go date's December 1st, when we officially start this project, you already have the stories down that you want to tell. And it's just a matter of getting those words out and documenting them, and of course jazzing it up in our way with pictures and embellishments and that type of thing. Then the second lesson is the album. And so many of you have expressed, I want a different approach to do this because I may not be a 6x8 scrapper. I may be a 12x12 scrapper. And I say own it. So what is this? Am I a politician now? So I say own it. Pick an album that you're going to be comfortable with for this process, because if you're not comfortable with it, you won't enjoy the process. So we're going to walk through different album styles. What are some of the benefits of each album style, and what would be some of the challenges in terms of the robust storytelling part, maybe the design of your album and the decorating and embellishing and that type of thing, because there are some limitations depending on the size of the album. So we'll talk a lot about that and choosing the right album for you. So we'll cover that as well. Now in the 3rd week, we'll talk about the commitment. And this is the biggest point because there's so many of us that feel really great about starting a holiday project, and then all of a sudden we teeter out halfway through. So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to challenge ourselves. You will have a PDF calendar as well as a planning guide that'll help you plan out your album so that you can stay on task while you're working through your project and really commit yourself. More importantly, we want to be realistic about this process. So if you know that, hey, December really just is not a good time for me to do this, then that's okay. Make a commitment to finish it in January. Or maybe you have to do a whole lot of prep work up front, so it does make the process easier for you as you're going through the holidays. And then we're going to talk about the process. So does setting up your album work for you? If so, great, then do that. If it isn't, and you're a game time decision maker like me, then maybe setting up your album won't work for you. So we'll talk about those different options. What types of supplies do you have, and where are you going to set them at? Are you going to organize them somewhere on your desk? Are you going to put them in a box? We'll start thinking about all of those things so you can be prepared to get your albums done. And then I'll have some tips on how you can manage your time. And then more importantly, reaching out to the Facebook group for support. So if you get stuck, maybe you're having a hard time working through a prompt or you don't know where to go, then we can lean on other scrappers for ideas and inspiration. All right, so what's included in this course? Of course, you get the weekly content. So there's new content that will be posted to the classroom on Mondays. You'll also get, I have my note here. You get your PDF study guides that will correspond with all of the lessons that we have for this course. You're going to get a PDF project planner with calendar to help you plan out your project and also set some dates. if that's something that you like to do, so it can keep you on track and getting this project completed. You'll also have a sketch handout as well, so just a few sketches to get you going, depending on the size of your album. I'll have different sketches for different album sizes, because I know not everyone's a 12 by 12 or a 6 by 8 or an 8 by 8 or a 6 by 6 scrapper, so you pick what's comfortable for you, and I'll have a little something for everybody. And there's also going to be some reflection exercises and brainstorming exercises, because a lot of times we have the stories trapped in our head, but we need to spend time actually getting that down on paper so that we can fully document the story and remember all the details, if at all possible. And then there's going to be 30 storytelling prompts to inspire you, because if you're like me, sometimes you just get stuck. And so those prompts are there to help you get unstuck and actually get those stories out and start documenting them. You'll also have access to the Holiday Project Facebook group, of course, where we're going to support each other and cheer each other on as we get this project done. And then you will be able to see the full process here on YouTube, and that is free, obviously. That'll be free content, not only for folks who are taking this class, but even if you don't take the class, then you can come here and see me put my album together. So that is the Holiday Project in a nutshell. What do you think? It's going to be great. I'm a little nervous about this one because it is so new, and this is a process. It's going to be a new process for me. So as you are working through the process, if you take the class and as you're working through the process, I really would appreciate your feedback. So you get all of those wonderful things for $20. You can pre-register for the class. There's not a limit. So anyone can take the class. There's no max, so everyone can sign up if you want to. Just $20 until November 1st. That is your pre-registration fee. After November 1st, the class is going to go to $25. So go ahead, purchase the class, get locked in, and then before we start the class, you'll receive an email to remind you, hey, class starts on November 5th, and then we'll be ready to rock and roll. If you have any questions, please leave them below in the comments. There's full information on the Victoria Marie blog, as well as a link to register for the class. So make sure you do that, get it for $20 and lock in that rate for the next couple of weeks. I look forward to this. This is going to be a lot of fun. I hope that you are inspired to really take some time this holiday season and document those stories. Even if this is the only year that you do it, at least those stories are told and they're there for generations to come. All right, guys, I look forward to seeing you in the classroom.